thanks everyone for coming. I'm very, very privileged and flattered to be here. And I'm an illustrator and artist who works in UK, and I'll just go through these drawings, and there's that one, and then there's that one. So depends how you feel, really. These images are based on what I love, really, I think, more than anything. I think luck's very important. Standing on a jetty in Brazil, and then I hear some scampering, and luckily I have my camera, and I love this picture. There's a little kid near where my sister lives in West Bay in Dorset. I just thought it was perfect. He looks, I don't know, he just has this kind of modern feel to him in the way that there's a football and a handgun, and so I think we're catching up with America. These are fake adverts. I thought that mobile phones are, they're very good for communication and stuff like that, but people lie a lot anyway, generally. So I thought I'd kind of reinvent it slightly. So he's being dishonest, and obviously the woman in the background might be something to do with it. We've all done it. This is my friend Jeff Fisher, who's also an illustrator, and I was in France with him, and we went into a supermarket, and he said, he's from Australia, he said, which water shall I buy? And I said, I don't know. So he was bewildered by product. He's still not sure. Which water do you buy? This is for a magazine in Spain about how Russia is becoming incredibly important, and through all sorts of things. So I decided to use contemporary Russians and then use people who are dead, basically. So there's Putin and then Vlad the Impaler. So very simple T-shirts. It was for a fashion article about, you know, how the hell do you do that? You know, people phone you up and say, can you do 10 pages on Russians? This is pretty much sums up my life, I think. Drawing, editing, drinking, and music. This is my brother-in-law. But I love the one in the middle. I love the dynamic. I love the dynamic of the expressions within this picture. This is modern advertising, as far as I'm concerned. People going to a meeting in Chinos. This is one of my favorite chefs in London, Fergus Henderson. And this is one of the first things he said to me, is first thing he traded was 2 bones for a poo pipe. You just have to use your imagination on that one. And that's one of my favorite meals of all time. Bone marrow with rock salt, parsley, good soda bread, and a glass of Côte de Rhône. So I don't know why I do this stuff. You know, I try and get work. I haven't got any money. I'm just trying to do stuff, you know? It's just, fuck knows, you know, I have no idea. This is, you get weird calls. This is for a Japanese kind of dance humor company, that theatric company. And I was asked to do a drawing for a poster, which I did, which is fine, and for no money. And I got 300 quid. 300 quid. It's not bad. And I had to put the drips in because they said it was too violent without the drips. And then all of a sudden you're in Buenos Aires and just watching people tango and dance, and you just sit there in darkness drawing without seeing, and they can be quite beautiful too. So, you know, it's you never know what's going to happen, really. I'm very fond of these drawings. I did a window in Japan for Marc Jacobs perfume. So I just thought I'd make lots of drawings within the window, live, about scent. So that's the first stage. And then I decided it would be a great idea to actually make a huge photograph for the window. And they completely rejected it. And that's the book cover I did from my own ego. This I'm very fond of. It makes absolutely no sense at all. She's obviously aroused and smiling, and you can't see him because he's out of the picture, which makes us blind to a certain extent, and he's pulling up a skirt, which you can't see anyway, so God knows. I love things like this. It's really lazy, isn't it? So, should we put the other one back in the middle? Nah, bollocks, This is for Time Out magazine. Thanks for the laugh over there. This is for Time Out magazine about how men have an obsession with their own penises. So anyway, this is for the Type Directors Club of Zurich. It's about how clients are very difficult. So I thought I'd push it a little bit. He's being taught to believe in red is good. David Carson commissioned me to do a load of drawings about surfing. And so I said, are you sure? I can surf. And he said, no, just go for it. Just be honest. So I was very honest. And the people I talked to, one guy came out with this, which I find absolutely extraordinary. That surfing is, it's a great sport. I love it, and I love doing it. But I think it might be up its own arse a little bit. Like this, for example. Because they're not. They just go to the beach and surf, And this is for a Canadian magazine about love and money. Terrible mix. How much do you love me? Thousands. And then, can you read that? I don't know if you can read it at the back. No? No. It says, your lack of money is the root of my evil. And he says, you never give me enough credit. In a similar vein, I love my girlfriend, but it's just crazy, isn't it? It's always difficult. So I was on Oxford Street in London, and these two people were having a row, man and woman having a row, and that's what he said to her, fuck off, of course I love you. But then a week later, this is honestly true, a week later, you probably can't read that at all. I saw another couple rowing, different couple, and she said, my feelings for you have nothing to do with you. Honestly, I swear to you it's true. I couldn't believe it. I did some work with Gelman, and he gave me his work. I don't know if you know Alexander Gelman. He's mad Russian. I love him. And he said, we should work together, so I'm going to give you all my work. So he gave me all his work, and I just went around photographing it in ridiculous situations to kind of bring up the fact of how media buying, the actual space that you buy is crucial, you know, and to actually take it out of context is quite a nice idea, especially if you have kind of fun with it. So these are his bits of work with basically in ridiculous situations. So, drunk poster. And these people nearly beat me up because I was in Zurich and I put his little blue and white invite for Iraqi, I think it was, and put them on stage. I thought the colours were fantastic. So I put them on stage, and afterwards I said, oh, that was a great gig, can I buy you a drink? And they just said no. I do a lot of work with brands who I respect a lot. Here's some of the spreads. That's at the end of my street in the East End of London, which I think East meets West perfectly. Halal and McDonald's. And he's called the Director of Global Sloganeering. And that's Pfizer on the right. I think the world's mad, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. It's just crazy. This is a show I had at Wapping Project. I made this huge tree of recycled wood, so it's called Tree of Wood. And it's still being used. We dismantled it afterwards, and it's still being used. And put 5 industrial fans in there and just made a vortex, so the plastic bags that you see everywhere in London, pretty much everywhere really, gradually got caught up after a month. It's great fun, it really was. It was 9 meters, I think it was 9 by 9 meters, and about that thick. So it was like a drawing, in a way. And here's some other drawings. I think we all know that feeling. And this is, you know, drawing for the sake of, you know, hanging out your dirty laundry, really. It's just hang the buggers out, really. And that's a drawing of the most, at that point, I think it was the most powerful supercomputer by IBM. And it can make 73 billion calculations a second in binary terms. So I thought, great, draw it, do a really terrible drawing of it, and then put it into 64 pieces of photocopy, and then call it tea or coffee. Because how the hell is it going to know, you know? And then I made loads of insulting boats, and they all got wrecked in the first night. I couldn't believe it. In Wapping Project, there's this fantastic old pumping station, and on the top is this huge, it's massive tank of water. So I floated them all. So one had arsehole, one had wanker, and stuff like that, and they kind of meet. But they all got wrecked. It's really sad, all the insults just went down, you know, it's terrible. So I had to think on my feet, and I made this. This marks the size of the sad tale of the insulting boats. Here lie the scarred wrecks of over 80 paper boats, all perished during the storm of July the 2nd, 2005. The hapless armada, named after common insults, all sank on that terrible night with all hands. The good ship Wanker and Ship for Brains were the last to be seen. May God rest their idiot souls. I'm obsessed with borders. So North and South Dakota are just fascinating to me, really. So the North is German and the South is French. So it's kind of, I think people still have real problems with not being more heartful in the way that they look at the world. I think borders are incredible. And also, I've done, oh God, hundreds of drawings of pens that draw each other. It gets you thinking. And then, what exists? Is it the rubber or is it the pencil? Because the rubber looks proud, but in fact the pencil, even though the pencil's been erased by that rubber that I drew, it's still, I'm not sure, I don't know. And I've done probably 3,000 drawings on Post-it notes, and my favourite one there is I Love Man, because homosexuality was banned. I'm not sure if it still is, but banned in the Isle of Man. And the capital city of Isle of Man is called Douglas. There's some more. Then I got this commission for IBM to do drawings because someone saw those Post-it notes and said to me, can you work on a pitch for IBM? And I was skint, absolutely skint at the time, and I thought, all right then. So do all these drawings of servers. I mean, it's not a glamorous life sometimes. And it worked very well. And then Sony called me and said, can you do some drawings for us? And I said, nope, because I'm under, there's a license on my handwriting. IBM bought my handwriting for 20 grand. Idiots. And so I wasn't allowed under contract to work for Sony. So I phoned my copyright lawyer, and he said, are you left-handed or right-handed? It's a bit smug, I know, but... And then I did a book about what the Brits and the Americans think of each other, which is sold miserably, but never mind. This is my favorite. It says, nowadays, this is an American chap, nowadays we share a common language, common aims. Culture is almost shared between us, except for the painful fact for you guys that we just about rule the planet. What do you say about that? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Brits, but you know, we kick ass. Brilliant, you know. And then a Liverpudlian version of it is 6% have passports. This is not anti-American, by the way. I'm not anti-American at all. Anti-Bush, definitely, but not anti-American. Steady. And Blair. So 6% have passports. I think it's gone up to 7 because of Iraq. And 70% of Americans have been to Disney World or Disneyland. And it's fair enough. I think this might be the last slide. Nope. It's another one from the book. She was brilliant. The English, I like them except that my boss is English, who's an asshole. Right. This is the last slide, and this is what I love doing more than anything, is jumping into the sea. So I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. Thanks.